Okay, in well, when in terms of possibilities, let's look. There are a lot of possibilities. I mean, a lot of positives, and financial inclusion is perhaps just one of the many different areas in terms of what is possible as regards economic activity on the continent. Now, I wouldn't describe financial inclusion as being a focus of Paystack, right?
Mm.
Paystack's focus is enabling um, businesses, small and medium scale businesses get online, right? By get online, I mean, well, specifically receive payments online, right? And their mission, just like, what is now their parent company, Stripe, is to facilitate that. And that is immensely important and has huge significance because it drives economic activity. Trade and commerce is a significant part of economic activity. So the easier it is for small businesses to receive payments online, that has a knock-on effect on the economy because it drives trade. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, the World Bank says the World Bank Department for Medium and Enterprise says that there are between 365 and 445 million micro and small, medium scale enterprises in the developing market. Now, I don't have the exact figures for Nigeria, but what I want to bring out is that those small and medium scale entities contribute up to 60% of employment. And we know we just need to look around us. Just take a poll, really, in Nigeria, and you see that is entrepreneurs that drive, as in any economy, that are the engine of the economy, because that's where the most people are employed in, and and they contribute about 40% in most countries anyway, to the national GDP. So getting those guys and enabling their business, right, is then therefore key to economic development, and that is why it is important to us specifically. I mean, if you look at e-commerce numbers in Africa, just focusing, well, not in Africa. If you look at Nigerian e-commerce numbers, it was about 4.9 billion in terms of revenue. This is
Yes.
revenue. This is not minus cost in terms of revenue and everything. In terms of e-commerce, what was done online in terms of the turnover from e-commerce, companies, e-commerce activity online. So it's significant, and it's projected to grow. It's projected to grow to about over 8 billion by 2024. So you can see the trajectory that companies like Paystack and other people in that space are going to and looking to capture.
Yes. Okay. That's exciting. But although I'm curious as to how small businesses, small and medium enterprises, for instance, would integrate this system. I'm talking about payment processing units or attachments or plugins in their system, because we know that most small businesses in Africa, not just in Nigeria, still depend on their traditional way of transactions, not necessarily integrating the payment systems like we have with Paystack. So talking about the progression, pushing them to that angle, do you think that is going to improve with the involvement of Stripe?
Well, one thing that involvement of Stripe does is that it gives Paystack cash to. I mean, when you get funding like that, and when you acquire, a large part of what you do with that funding is investing in the business itself. I mean, just some clarification from, I mean, at least what I've, heard or learned about the deal. The entire deal, the company quite rightly said, Paystack isn't getting $200 million. $200 million is the valuation of Paystack.
Yes.
So the entire business is worth
Okay.
200 million. Now, they didn't sell the entire business. They sold controlling shares, obviously, to Stripe, but not the entire business. So clearly, they would only receive in whatever structure that is cash and maybe in other shares to the quantum to which they sold. So if they sold 51%, that is what it is that will be coming in. Now, the vast majority. Yeah. So now the majority of that typically, I mean, obviously this is down to the people who run the business, will be plowed back into improving the service, into growth, to essentially help drive their vision. And a large part of that vision is what you have described in enabling businesses, receive payments online and making it much easier for them to do so.
All right, thank you. The show FinTech Today comes up every week on Tuesdays, 3:45 p.m. to 4 p.m. So make sure you tune in. And in case you missed any part of this conversation, always refer to the Streamline Media NG Instagram handle, also on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Go check out the website, valentineohu.com. I'll post up a podcast of this episode and others. Also check out VBank NG, our proud partners to Streamline. Now, talking about digital banking, we see the way things are going these days, right? People no longer need to move around so much. These days, if you step out of your house, you hear curfew, you run back. Today, I was actually trying to withdraw some money from the ATM, but by the time I got to the ATM, it was full, and it was only one outlet that was working, which emphasizes the need for digital banks and the need for seamless transactions that don't require you to go into a physical bank. Now, there's a company. It's called Fund All. They raised $150,000 as pre-seed funding. Pre-seed funding is used to develop a working version of a product that would then be used to raise funding and scale. We have VBank that heralded a lot of innovations around the digital banking space, making it possible for people to open accounts in less than a minute, encouraging people to do transactions by removing every single charge. So in terms of digital banking, how do you see the likes of the traditional banks that we'll have around that have been implementing different changes, but still hold on to their physical space or physical banking model? How do you see them progressing into being a full stack digital bank like VBank?
It's a question around how easy it is for traditional banks to transition. It is. I mean, the question you asked really is the future of banking, right?
Yes.
And it's a question that has received a lot of attention recently, a lot of focus and a lot of funding. To be honest, the vast majority of funding within venture capital funding within the financial services sector has gone to fintechs. Over 80% have gone to fintechs and digital banks or challenger banks, as you would describe it. Now, it's not easy for a traditional bank to transition in itself, if I'm to answer your question specifically. But what has happened globally, not just in Nigeria, we have one or two examples of that in Nigeria. At least we have one prominent example of that in Nigeria, is that it creates a separate division and a separate entity, because it's a different ethos and sort of mindset that's required to run a digital only bank and run a digital only service, right? So they create a separate entity and try to cover the market in that regard and use the strength of their traditional bank to support that. But what has happened, and why you see, you mentioned, Fondall, getting seed funding, you mentioned VBank. The reason why there's a proliferation of that is an indication of how the consumer wants to be served. Many things are coming together, obviously. Technology is coming together, and everything is converging on this guy. So this
exactly.
The mobile is driving a lot of change. A lot of things are coming into this. So that I'm speaking to technology being right, but also an indication of how the consumer wants to be served. And whoever owns or who controls the consumer, whoever controls the experience owns the consumer. So that's why you see a lot of these digital a lot of people don't want to go to, the bank branches. So it only makes sense to offer a digital product, that makes it easier to offer, the best, banking products. Instead of everything that the bank has to offer, take one, like a current account or savings account, and offer that, focused on that, and deliver that to consumers. And you find out that that's what they want.
And if you can put them all together, why not? Why not? Tunde, it's so interesting how time flies on this show. I thought we planned to treat three stories, mentioning the Kenyan Parliament reversing move to ban mobile payments for gambling and seeing how Nigeria could probably borrow that model, and also other African countries. But unfortunately, we've come to the end of this conversation for today. Remember to check out the website, valentineohu.com or streamlineng.com, Streamline Media NG on Instagram, as well as Facebook and Twitter. Check out @VBankNG on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you very much, Tunde Okufi, for being my special guest on the show. Thank you. All right, guys, catch you next Tuesday, 3:45 p.m. to 4 p.m. here on this same radio station. My name is Valentine. Good afternoon.
keeping up the pace in an ever-changing world.
Packet tomato that was being sold 40 naira, they have been increasing effectively. 100 naira, 120 naira.
Topical issues and conversations affecting you.
The society has created that need where people do not have options to choose when it comes to jobs, so they go into what's available.
So the onus lies on those who select. Those who select them must look out for those who have passion for this job.
Okay.
Through interview.
Your number one station for talk, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
In the heart of Lagos. News, talk and sports. Only on one dial. 99.3 Nigeria Info.
The news update on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. It is about 4 and it's time for business updates. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Shami Gbajabiamila, has vowed not to sign the 20